Welcome to G Street Fabrics Bernina guide class. This is a 5 series sewing machine tutorial, and this includes the B590, B570QE, and the B535. In this tutorial, we'll show you about creative sewing. This includes how to combine and edit stitches, and also a quick look at personal programming. If you've already seen our previous tutorial, you can go ahead and thread your machine. If not, please watch our introductory class on how to set up your sewing machine. To begin with, let's change the presser foot. Make sure your presser foot is raised first. Push the clamping lever with your finger to remove the presser foot. Carefully pull the foot off the metal cone. Guide the new presser foot upwards over the cone, then press the clamping lever down. While handling the presser feet, be sure not to touch the clear sensor located at the top of the foot. Ever wondered what the letters mean on the feet? A foot with the letter D is compatible with a built-in dual feed, while presser feet labeled C means that it is a coated foot and fits machines with 9mm stitch widths. And feet with numbers only can fit most machines with 5.5mm stitch widths. The B535 is only compatible with number-only presser feet. Once the new foot is attached, select the coordinating feet onto your presser foot selection on the home screen. In this case, we've attached the number 20C foot, so we'll go ahead and select this one on the screen. Your machine will now confirm that you have the 20C foot attached by seeing it here. Let's take a look at the right-hand side of your screen. Press the Home icon and a new screen will appear. It'll show you the two different modes your machine is able to do, the sewing mode and the embroidery mode. Notice that there are 4 icons at the bottom also. The first one to the right is the Eco mode, which is the energy saving feature. The dress form icon is the sewing consultant. The book icon is the tutorial, which gives info on how to sew and embroider. And the 2 gears icon is the setup program for personal settings. You can personalize the appearance and how your machine functions through here. For example, if you tap on the Sewing Settings button, it'll take you to a new set of functions where you can modify them to your liking. Over here, if you look at the second icon with the needle and lock stitch image, once activated, it enables you to lock a stitch at the beginning of every stitch you make. To activate it, click the switch to turn green or on. And to deactivate it, simply click to turn red or off. To exit the sewing setup page, click on the X button on the top right-hand corner, then select the sewing mode from this screen. The second icon from this row is the question mark, which is the call for help icon. In an occasion where you need help on a button on the screen, click on the question mark. For example, if you're wondering what the number 9 stitch is on your machine and what it's used for, touch the question mark on the right, then notice the question mark appears in the center of the screen as well as the neon frame around it. This means that the call for help action has been enabled. Then, press the icon on the screen that you need help on. In this case, we were wondering what the number 9 stitch does. Click on that. Then it takes you to a page where it gives you a description on what it is. Once it's answered your inquiry, go ahead and close that screen. Lastly, the third icon on this row is CLR, or clear. If you had made any alterations on a stitch and would like to return to its default setting, pressing this icon will take you back onto the original setting. For instance, we've changed the needle position and the stitch length here, and now we're ready to return to the default setting. Press CLR and it's back to the original setting. Now it's time to go through the sewing menu on the right-hand side of your screen, right here. The first category are the utility or practical stitches. That's the first set of stitches you'll see once you turn on your sewing machine. You've got your straight stitch, your zigzag, your blind hem, and various other utility stitches can be found here. The second icon is your decorative stitch selection. Once you tap it, it'll open up to various folders with different designs or motifs. The first folder consists of floral designs, and the next folder down is mostly satin stitches. When you press on a folder icon, it takes you to a new window where it shows you the individual designs and its stitch preview. Scroll up or down to view more. If you'd like to have an extended view of your designs, touch the arrow pointing to the left and it'll widen your view, and you can see more of the stitches at once. Then, to exit this view, simply press the same arrow now pointing to the right. The next stitch category are the built-in letterings. Once you tap on this icon, you'll see different folders that contain different fonts. And your next stitch category are the buttonholes, where you can find different types of buttonhole stitches. And this also includes the button sew-on stitches and eyelets. We'll talk more about buttonholes in a future class. The second to last icon are all the quilting stitches. Here you'll find a wide variety of decorative quilting stitches. You can scroll up or down to view more, and if ever there's something that you're uncertain of, remember the question mark call for help button to give you a better explanation on how to use a specific stitch. The last category here is the heart icon, and this is your personal memory. This is where you can store your favorite stitches. If you click on it, it will take you to 3 commands. The first one is to retrieve your saved stitches. That's the folder with the arrow pointing out. The second button down is to save your stitches, and that's the icon with the arrow pointing into the folder. And the third one is to delete. For example, if you selected a zigzag stitch and modified the stitch length to create a more satin look and are happy with the outcome, you're thinking, I could possibly use this stitch again for future projects. Then you can save your modified stitch using the heart icon. Once selected, 4 new folders will appear, and you can save it into one of these folders. We're going to pick folder 1 for this. To confirm saving, click on the green check mark. Then, retrieve your saved stitches here. You can see that the saved zigzag stitch can be found in the machine's memory now. And on to the fun part. For creative sewing or combining stitch patterns, select the combi mode, which is the plus sign button below the stitch preview. Using the combi mode, you can combine decorative stitches, lettering, and utility or practical stitches. To activate the combi mode, click on the plus sign button here. When you click on this icon, it'll clear your stitch display to allow you to preview your stitch combination design as you select them. Now let's put together a design starting with a decorative stitch. We'll open the first folder at the top for floral designs and pick one of these beautiful flower motifs. As you can see, the flower design is added into the stitch preview and is highlighted in blue. At this point, we would like to have a wider view of the designs that we're putting together. And to do so, we clicked on the arrow pointing to the left at the center of the screen to maximize the stitch display. The second stitch we'll add, let's choose it from a different folder, shall we? Return back to the yellow folders by selecting the decorative stitch icon again. Select the third folder across to the satin stitch designs, then choose the design that you like. Scroll up or down to view more stitches. For our stitch design here, we'll choose a circle motif, and as you can see, it's displayed right there. Let's add lettering next by going to the lettering folder. Choose a font from the folders here. For this example, we'll type in hello. Your stitch view will shift to the left as you add more motifs in. Then, to tie in our design together, we're going to frame the word hello with the two motifs we've added at the beginning from the satin and floral decorative stitch folders. We'll add the satin stitch first, then the floral last. Now we've completed our design, you can see it previewed here horizontally. Minimize this window by tapping the arrow pointing to the right, and you're back to the stitch preview, where it's showing you the first two stitches on your design. You'll notice on the bottom right-hand side here a set of up and down buttons. If you toggle these two buttons, you can highlight and select a stitch that you'd like to edit. If a start of pattern icon appears on your stitch preview, you can click this icon and it will highlight the very first stitch of your design in blue. We're going to use the pattern toggle buttons to select the second to last design of our combi stitches to edit them individually. While it's highlighted, select the eye icon beside the stitch preview and a new window will appear to give you a set of editing commands. For this stitch, we'd like to mirror or flip this design horizontally. And we'll mirror the last stitch too, which is the 9 of 9 stitch in the combination that we have here. Now that we're happy with our design, let's exit this window. Notice that the pattern begin icon is present on the screen again. To start stitching from the very beginning of your design, make sure that you tap that icon and that the first stitch of your design is highlighted in blue. We're ready to stitch out our combi design, but first we'll adjust the slide speed control to halfway down to easily control the direction of our stitch out, because we'll be using the Start-Stop Sewing button to stitch out our design. By pressing this button, it allows you to sew without using the foot pedal. To prevent stitches from puckering, we're using 2 layers of fabric with a stabilizer layer in between. We'll line up our fabric using the markers on the stitch plate, which also continues down to the slide-on tray table. Then, lower the presser foot by clicking the green Start Stop button right here. When you're ready to stitch, hold the green button down until it starts stitching. As your design stitches, your display screen will also follow where your needle lands on your fabric. To stop stitching out your design, activate the Pattern End button on the front control of your machine. Once activated, it'll light up and a stop icon will appear on your screen too. And as you can see, the machine has been programmed to cut the thread at the end of a full pattern and lift the presser foot up. And there you have it. Now you've learned how to combine stitches. Now let your creativity run free. Until next time, thanks for tuning in to G Street Fabrics Bernina Guide Class. If you'd like to learn more about your Bernina, feel free to leave us a comment below and tell us what you'd like to know more about.